Asia is sadly experiencing its predictable annual haze crisis, an atmospheric condition where particles, smoke, dust, and moisture suspend in the air obscuring visibility. To make it worse, most people succumb to hopelessness on the problem. They realize the severe impact that haze brings, especially on their health. But what can they do about it? Blames began to rise like, why should I wear a mask for protection? What needs to be done is for the government to take an action against those companies who started it. Last September 18, 2019, a 16-year-old Swedish environmental activist, Greta Thunberg, and 15 other teens filed a complaint with the United Nations as the General Assembly convened in New York City. The culprit is the palm oil production. The Indonesian government's efforts to stop the fires are inappropriate given the efforts to protect the palm oil industry. As the world's largest palm oil producer, global palm oil production is an important source of income and a major contributor of economic growth for the Southeast Asian archipelago nation. During the press conference, Greta Thunberg, the young activist, made a passionate plea. People are dying. People are suffering. And the entire ecosystem is collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. A few miles away, Indonesia's rainforest haze crisis is worsening. In Jambi, Sumatra, the streets are blanketed in red haze in daytime, like a scene from a dystopian future. Unfortunately, this is our present and a mere snapshot of the current environmental crisis. People tend to normalize the situation and defer the government to fix the issue. However, solving problems such as forest fires, palm oil production, and clearing methods is complex. We need to encourage people to change their behaviors and habits to minimize the impacts of the haze, at least on themselves and on their families. We don't have to repeat its harms to human health. This phenomenon is clearly felt in most countries, particularly here in the Philippines. Since the haze crisis, prices of commodities have risen because a lot of transports have been cancelled. People complain about haze all the time in Twitter, Facebook, and other social media accounts. We're waiting without doing anything. Are we saying that we don't have the responsibility on this situation? Or we're trying to sit back until it was solved? We shall not ignore. We should take an action. But the question that is lingering all over the world is, how did we arrive in this situation? According to some research, there are many factors which cause the annual haze emergency. Today, modern technologies are made which add huge contributions in our society. But are we using this well? Here are some of our mistakes and ignorance. The cheaper to burn than to fertilize fields. The usage of palm oil, the irresponsible plantations, corruption, the virtue of lack of technology to fight fire, the emission from power plants, industrial activities, forest fires and traffic, as well as farming practices. Long-term exposure to the haze and particulate matter can lead to the development of medical conditions. In the 1997 Southeast Asian haze, which affected a number of countries in the region, an increase in air pollutants is significantly associated with increases of 12% of upper respiratory tract illnesses, 19% asthma, and 26% nasal inflammation. Exposure to the haze can also lead to symptoms of bronchitis. With so many factors, there is no magic solution. So why are you just sitting there? Are you waiting for a miracle to happen? It's actually easier to say we're not responsible than we're just being irresponsible. Wake up, people of the world! Our earth is dying. Our mistakes can actually kill us both. Recently, the vast majority of the fires are burning in Indonesia, Unfortunately, the Indonesian Minister for the Environment and Forestry, city nearby Bakar, has claimed that the haze is due to fires in Malaysia. According to ASEAN satellite data, there were 1,619 active fires in Indonesia on September 11. This is corroborated by the U.S. National Aeronautical and Space Administration. There is no smoke or haze without fire, and they're all within the Indonesia's borders. Their refusal is all the more staggering when one considers that the Indonesians themselves are currently suffering from the worst air quality readings in the world. In their refusal to admit the responsibility, the Indonesian government is failing its people. Citizens don't wish to interfere with Indonesia's sovereignty, but the results show that the Indonesian government has both moral and legal responsibility for the fires in their territory. The nation-state is rapidly becoming irrelevant in the face of cross-border challenges like climate change, refugees, and haze. The Indonesian government retains their political, technical, and legal capabilities. Malaysia and other countries can help, but first, it starts with an acknowledgement of responsibility. Haze is a direct effect of forest fire in Palembang, South Kalimantan, and other parts of Indonesia due to slash and burn method of farming. The Indonesian authorities appear to have no power to control farmers from practicing such methods. It is further worsened by open burning practiced by most Malaysians. Open field burning of rice straw, dried leaves, and garbage is done by many rice planters, which directly increases the pollutants on the air. As much as 94% of the particles in a haze are below 2.5 micrometers in diameter, which are particles that are 30 times smaller than the width of a human hair. Due to their small size, these ultra-small particles stay in the air longer and are easily carried over long distance, increasing their chances of being inhaled by animals and humans. These particles, entitled by forest fires, are toxic to the lungs and can also penetrate deep into the lungs due to their minute size. When inhaled, they can enter the bloodstream and produce damaging effects such as inflammation. This is a serious threat to humans and to our habitat. Now, it is here in the Philippines. Last September 17, 2019, a published article from Rappler says that the haze from the forest fires burning in the islands of Sumatra and Borneo in Indonesia has reached the Philippines. They are carried by the southeast monsoon winds. Residents reported seeing haze hovering over the provinces of the central and southern Philippines. Lendrico Dalida Jr., the Deputy Administrator of the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, said that light to moderate haze was covering the southern city of Zamboanga, the central cities of Cebu and Dumaguete, and the western province of Palawan. Authorities were verifying other areas that may also have been affected. Officials of the Environmental Management Bureau, which is in charge of pollution prevention and control in Visayas, already issued a warning for residents of Metro Cebu in particular to avoid going outside or to wear protective masks during peak hours due to unsafe levels of PM 2.5. Residents were told to stay indoors or to use protective N95 masks during peak hours or times when pollution was above healthy levels. These masks protect against 95% of airborne particles but not resistance to all fumes. They are also the easiest respirator masks to find in the Philippines. We shall not lose hope, for there is light against all of this fogginess. The answer is within us. It is possible to be neighborly and yet assertive of your own rights to health and clean air. Together, we must fix the forest fires in Indonesia by all means. If someone is not admitting their responsibility, we must impose our accountability on that person by all reasonable means possible, including assigning legal responsibility. The health of Southeast Asians and Indonesians is under mortal threat by the raging fires in Indonesia. The government must play its role to reduce the haze threat. It has to cooperate with the Indonesian authorities to stamp out forest fire. They should also raise public awareness of the dangers and damages that the Haze Crisis can do. Continuous campaign of the cause, solutions, and steps to be done in order to reduce pollutants shall be made. Haze prevention and protection has to be promoted through all types of social media, like television, radio, newspaper, and even via internet. The authorities should also provide assistance to farmers and introduce more sophisticated forest clearing methods. Strict laws must be imposed to penalize those who practice open burning. Ongoing campaigns on its danger should be intensified. Individuals have a role to play. They must participate in every campaign and stop burning. Indonesia, Singapore, and Malaysia should not blame each other about the haze pollution issue. It is the responsibility of all parties to take part in solving the case. The regional cooperation is necessary to assure the haze pollution not to happen again. There might be a possibility that forest fire will still occur for geographic reasons. Indonesia can never deny the geographic potential of El Niño and drought, which may result in forest fire. Yet, ASEAN, along with the agreement of transboundary haze pollution, hopefully can overcome the haze problem. In the future, the collaboration between Indonesian government, society, and ASEAN will make forest fire easier to handle through forest supervision, law enforcement, and regional push and support. Now it's in Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Philippines is also affected. Your country can be next, and the whole world in the future. Are we going to let this horrible thing happen? Don't just sit back. We must fight for our earth. Be responsible enough and live in a way that God wants. Every individual has to remember that we do not own the world. We lend it from our future generations. We must protect this place so that our grandchildren will have a healthy earth to live. This is the Haze Crisis. Are we not responsible? Or we people are just being irresponsible?
Destruction.